Welcome back to the FanSpeak Network. I'm your host, Megan Schaub. You can follow me on Twitter at Megs08DFS, and we are back for another edition of Bet to the Future. That's right, we are talking NFL futures bets going division by division. We've already covered the NFC East and NFC South. Now we're going to finish the NFC and talk about the NFC West and NFC North. So I'm bringing in my brother, Steve. You follow him at SteveOSpeak on Twitter. Steve, are you ready to bet to the future today?
Ready to do it.
All right, awesome. Well, Steve's going to be talking about the NFC West, and I'm going to be talking about the NFC North and talking about our favorite futures bets. We are going to be using FanDuel Sportsbook. Again, remember, when you're looking for futures bets, you don't need to bet everything. Just bet what you find are good values and also shop lines. In this case, we're just using one sportsbook just to keep it easy, but be sure to shop the line. So we're going to head over to FanDuel Sportsbook, and we are going to look at the NFC West first, and Steve is going to be breaking this one down. So Steve, we're going to go team by team here and go look at their win total, and then we can do some other, division winners, long shots, that kind of stuff. But let's start with the Cardinals. Their win total is set at 8.5 wins, minus 110 for the over, minus 110 for the under. What do you like?
Boy, I love the over here. I can't believe it's only set at 8.5. Kyler Murray, I know he finished the year a little poorly, but this team has a ton of talent. Connor, Marquise Brown, Zach Ertz. They're going to get Hopkins back after 6 games. It's not like an injury thing like some other teams we've talked about. I think this offense is ready to roll. Defense still has some issues, but, I think they can easily get to 10-plus wins. So, I love the over here.
I think you could definitely bet all win total on that one for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go over to the Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams. Their win total is set at 10.5, minus 110 for the over, minus 110 for the under. What are you taking for the Rams?
Yeah, this is a little tougher. Obviously, they were one of the best teams in the league last year, Super Bowl champion, like you said. They kind of reloaded, losing Von Miller and Odell, but getting Allen Robinson and Bob Wagner. Really good team, really great team. The Matt Stafford injury or arm situation does worry me a little bit because obviously if he's out, they have no chance at 10.5.
Right.
If he's out for any extended period of time. But this team should be better than last year with getting Cam Akers back for a full year. Like I said, getting Allen Robinson to replace Robert Woods and Odell down the stretch. So I lean over, but this is not one I feel really strong about. I think 11, 12 wins is kind of their maximum. I don't think they're going to go on a 13, 14, 15 win type team. So right. I think you're getting them right kind of at their peak.
Okay. Well, now let's move over to the San Francisco 49ers, and their win total is set at 9.5. It's minus 145 for the over, plus 125 for the under. What do you like for the 49ers?
This is one I'm going to avoid. They were a playoff team last year. Jimmy led them. They're now handing the reins over to Trey Lance, and he's got a ton of upside. I think sky's the limit with this kid at quarterback. But I don't like that you're paying, the minus 145 to get 10 wins. But at the same time, I don't want to bet against Kyle. Kyle Shanahan has been so consistent, good with a healthy, when Jimmy Garoppolo was healthy, they went to the Super Bowl and went to the championship game. That's,
right.
So even just above an average-ish quarterback, he can do that. If Lance is better than that, I mean, they could put up 12 wins. 13 wins, but I just don't like betting it, getting the negative. They have a ton of, a team with great weapons. Offensive line has some question marks. Pretty good defense, though probably not as good as last year. So I'm going to stay away from it, but if I'm going anything, I'm going over.
Okay, I like it. Let's move over to the Seattle Seahawks to round out the NFC West, and you have the line set at 5.5, which I think is about right. Over is minus 135. Under is plus 115. What do you think for the Seahawks? Boy, that preseason game, I know it's preseason. It was painful to watch the last week.
Yeah, I'm taking the under here. I think the one downside is here, there is a real chance that Jimmy Garoppolo ends up on this team. If the 49ers do have to cut him, he could sign. Seattle is his clearest path, obviously, to a full season, unlike, say, the Browns or Giants or some other team where he might not get a full season. So that would make me feel worse about it. But yeah, if they have to go Geno and or Locke throughout this year, it's tough to see him getting 6 wins, even with elite weapons like DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Already Kenneth Walker is dealing with the hernia issue. He might miss the first couple games. I think their offensive line will be the best it's been in years, but boy, it's going to be rough, and their defense is nothing special. So I'll take the under here. But the Jimmy Garoppolo situation does worry me, because if he goes there, then I could see them being a 7-8 win team.
Right. That makes a ton of sense. Let's go over to the conference winner and look at what the odds are to win the NFC West. You have the Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams at plus 125, San Francisco 49ers plus 175, Cardinals plus 350, and Seahawks plus 1500. What are you doing here?
Honestly, this is another situation mentioned with the NFC East. I like any time where you're getting positive odds for a winner, especially the Super Bowl champion. So I don't mind that. But I actually really like the Cardinals because,
take a little bit of a long shot there. Yeah.
We saw Kyler and the Cardinals fall off last year, but this was a team first 7 weeks last year. There was nobody better in the league than the Cardinals last year. So, can they get back to that? Absolutely. And, I think he's still young. I mean, this is just his 4th year. So he could get better. I know there's a lot of narrative going on around him, but I mean, just the raw talent is there, both from a passing and a rushing standpoint. If he puts it all together, the pieces come together around him, this team could go on a run. So I like getting some longer odds there for a division winner.
Absolutely. Well, that's kind of a little bit of a long shot. Any other long shots you like in this division?
I mean, I would take the Rams also there, like I said, but I'm a big fan of alternate win totals. I mentioned when we did the NFC East. Cardinals are another one. Again, if I'm betting them to win the division, I'm going to bet them up. So, if you look at the Cardinals and
let's see. Yeah, you can get over.
Let's see. Yeah, like over 10.5, over 11.5. If they're winning the division, it could probably be, they need 12 wins.
They're probably a 12-win team. Yeah.
You could
do those both together. I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
So that kind of thing, I really like the Cardinals. Again, you could, if you believe Stafford's healthy, you could definitely bet a Rams alt line of plus 12.5, something like that, to get some more positive odds there. And 49ers are another one. I think this is just how you view these quarterbacks, because let's be honest, quarterbacks are what drives teams. So if you view Trey Lance as better than Jimmy Garoppolo, as I said before, the last 2 years with where Jimmy Garoppolo was moderately healthy, went to the Super Bowl, went to the NFC Championship game. So you should put a strong bet on the 49ers if you believe Trey Lance is better. Right. So I don't mind that. I'm probably not going to go that route, but I get that route. And that's when, if you taking the 49ers, say, to win the NFC would be another one that would be very intriguing.
Yeah, let's just take a look really quick at division winners. I'm sure you get some nice odds on 49ers. Well, if you look
NFC Championship,
NFC Championship, we got 49ers, plus 750. Right, yeah.
So that's one I like. And honestly, cards are another one, plus 1,400. The NFC is very, very weak. If they are as good as I just mentioned to win this division, there's only a couple other teams here that you're really worried about. So
right. Oh, I absolutely agree. What do you say we move over to the NFC North now, and I can give some of my takes on the NFC North. So let's see here. Let's start with the Chicago Bears, Steve.
Yeah, so we have the over at 5.5. I believe it says minus 145 for the over 5.5 wins, and under 5.5 plus 125. Where are you going?
kind of like I said in the NFC South one about our NFC South futures in their last episode, and I talked about Atlanta Falcons, and I bet the under there. I feel the same way about the Chicago Bears. There's just a few teams in the NFL that I don't think are very good, top to bottom. I think are kind of in a rebuilding mode, and I would put the Chicago Bears in that category. Justin Fields has a ton of talent. I see definite upside for his future, but I don't think it's this year, and I just don't think he has the talent around him. I think they are really in a rebuild mode, top to bottom, and I really like everybody else in this division more. So I don't think they're getting really many or any wins in their division. So just give me the odds, give me the plus 125, and I'm going to take the under here.
Yeah, I think that's the right call. And I think, also there's chances that this team gets worse. Roquan Smith wants to be traded.
Right.
Robert Quinn, they could decide to trade him. They could decide to trade somebody like David Montgomery. But if a contending team loses a running back, they might come calling to Chicago and say, hey, what do you want for David Montgomery? Because you have Herbert.
Right. Right. I mean, again, it's rebuilding, so
Yeah.
new coach, new GM. I mean, full rebuilding with the Bears.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's go over to the Lions.
All right. Lions here, over under 6.5. The over is minus 125 and the under is plus 105. Where are you going for Detroit and the Hard Knocks team?
I mean, I was going to say, it's not just because I'm watching some great clips from Hard Knocks. That does help the motivation. I really do like the over here. And we'll get into some long shot bets in a minute too. Listen, this is the Detroit Lions. They have one of the top offensive lines in the NFL. Look at their weapons. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown, TJ Hawkinson, DeAndre Swift. They've added DJ Shark. They have got a lot there that on offense that I think Goff, their offensive coordinator stepped in kind of as the pseudo offensive coordinator halfway through the season. And that's when Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown really started clicking last season, about halfway through the season. I really think that could roll into this season. And the defense is young, but listen, they added Aiden Hutchinson, and their young guys could really take a second, third year leap. So I kind of like what they're putting together in Detroit. I like their coaching staff, and I really give me the over here. This is an easy one for me.
Yeah, I like that too. Even though you're eating a little bit at minus 125, I don't think that's that bad. I think 7-8 wins are very, very attainable for this team. And like you said, they have a lot of young talent on both sides of the ball. And Jared Goff, if they keep him upright, he'll be fine and get him steal a couple wins. They stole a game from Minnesota last year. I mean, like this team could steal some games. So yeah, I like that.
All right, let's go over to Minnesota and look at their win total.
What about Green Bay?
Oh, I did skip over. Thank you. There we go. There is Green Bay.
All right. So over under 10.5. The over is minus 160, that looks like, and the under is plus 135. Where are you going with this one? This is an interesting line.
Yeah, it really is an interesting line, Steve. For this one, I kind of like Tom Brady, and how I mentioned in the NFC South show, I don't bet against Tom Brady. I typically don't bet against Aaron Rodgers either. So I'm just not going to bet this. And here's why. To go over, you're having to pay a lot of juice at minus 160. And listen, he lost Devontae Adams and Marquez Valdes-Scantling. That's big. And I do think Alan Lazard will step up. I think he'll lead into Robert Tonyan. I think they'll use Aaron Jones, kind of as a dual threat weapon. So, and I know their defense is good. So listen, do I think they could get 11 wins, especially with Aaron Rodgers at the helm? Yes, but I just don't want to pay minus 160 for it. So I'm just going to stay away is what I'm going to do on this one.
Yeah, no, I kind of think that's smart. I think, maybe if you are really bullish, you go alt line to make it an even bet and do 11.5 or whatever the alt lines are. But yeah, 10.5 minus 160, you're just not winning enough, I feel, for this bet, even though I think they're, like you said, never bet against Aaron Rodgers. So
yeah, I don't like to do that though. When I get to my
that defense is really going to be good. So
right.
I like that.
All right, well, let's go finish it out with the Minnesota Vikings. Now I'm in alphabetical order.
All right, Vikings over under 9.5, over plus 105, under minus 125. What do you think about Kevin O'Connell?
Yeah, this is easy for me too. Just like I talked about how I wrote an article a couple weeks ago about my favorite offenses that I'm bullish on to start the season, and Panthers were one of them in the NFC South. The Vikings are one of the other ones in the NFC North. I'm very bullish on this Vikings team. I think Kevin O'Connell is a huge upgrade over Mike Zimmer from the coaching perspective. He worked with Kirk Cousins in Washington one season, so there's a little familiarity there. Listen, just like I kind of mentioned that Detroit has weapons. I mean, everybody knows what the weapons are that the Vikings have. You've got Dalvin Cook, you've got Justin Jefferson, you've got Adam Thielen, and then Irv Smith did have a thumb surgery. He should be back for the beginning of the season. I mean, that is quite a set of weapons that Kirk Cousins has. So I am super bullish on this team. And, I wrote about the offenses. I wrote about it in a NFC North futures article a while ago. You can check that article out. But you're going to hear it here. I'm all about the Vikings, and I'm definitely taking the over 9.5 wins at plus 105.
Yeah, I love that bet. And like you said, this offense could really click this year under Kevin O'Connell. They have the weapons. Offensive line's good enough. So, I could see them putting up some big numbers. And if the defense is just average, they're going to be fine.
Right. Yeah. I mean, one stat that I found when I was doing my research for the NFC North article is, Minnesota's third down conversion rate was just awful last year. Well, who had one of the best third down conversion rates was the offense led by Kevin O'Connell and the Rams. So if he can really improve that and they stay on the field, not only are you getting fantasy goodness, but that's leading to more points, which should hopefully lead to more wins too. So I'm going to move over to the division winner here, and I'm just going to take my Minnesota Vikings and keep going here. Listen, you have to lay out minus 155 for the Packers. I laid out all the reasons. I don't typically ever bet against Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, but again, I just think there are some unknowns with this Packers team with the loss of Devontae Adams and MBS. So with that said, because I'm so bullish on the Vikings, I really like taking the plus 240 for them to win the division. I think Green Bay will still make the playoffs, but I think the Vikings could win this division, and it could start week one with a win week one. They face off. So that's where I'm going. What do you think about my take there?
Yeah, I mean, Rodgers is Rodgers, but I agree. The Vikings under Mike Zimmer, they would consistently play the Packers pretty tough. And Kevin O'Connell, I mean, every report out there, he's like just one of those smartest coaches in the league type thing. And
Right.
Sean McVay apparently loved just relying on him. And, if he brings that kind of energy that Sean McVay has and some McVay's other disciples have brought to other teams, I think it could be really good in Minnesota this year.
Right. Isn't that great? The Shanahan coaching tree stemmed from Washington. And then, all the good coaches go everywhere else but Washington for us, the South. That's brutal. But I do have one more long shot for you, Steve. If you go to make the playoffs on FanDuel Sportsbook, you can make some fun. You can even parlay them together, but you can get some major plus odds on some of these teams that I talked about. And just before you think I'm totally nuts, just remember, again, just how I talked about it in the NFC South Futures show. Again, the NFC it is much easier to make the playoffs in the NFC than in the AFC. So before you think I'm totally crazy on these long shots, hear me out. So two of the teams that I like taking shots on to make the playoffs, and again, I feel much more confident in the Vikings. You basically it's even at minus. It was plus 100. We've lost that now, but it's minus 110 for the Vikings to make the playoffs. I do like taking some alt lines because again, if I think the Vikings are going to win the division, I'm probably going to take an alt line instead of just betting they're over. So I've got that long shot that I'm probably going to take an alt line for the Vikings. Definitely like them to make the playoffs, but I think this Lions team could be frisky, could make some noise, just like the Panthers. Those are the two NFC teams that I think could surprise people each year, because every year in the NFC there seems to be these surprise teams because again, the conference isn't very good. So I don't mind taking a shot. Again, bet responsibly, but plus 410 for the Lions to make it back to the playoffs. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I think, I think basically the, last playoff spot or two is going to come down to teams like the Panthers, Lions. There's only one of them, going to be able to make it.
Right.
Washington's another one we talked about in the other
Absolutely.
video. So, those types of teams are all basically going to be fighting for one spot. You're going to have 2 or 3 teams from the West, maybe 2 teams from the East if the Eagles and Cowboys, and then, Packers and Vikings and Tampa. So it's that last spot is going to be kind of up in the air.
Right. All right. Well, this was another fun futures show. We've now covered the NFC, and be sure to check out our other futures show where we covered the NFC East and the NFC South. Next up, we'll move on over to the AFC, and we will cover AFC futures. Just keep that DeLorean moving to bet to the future. But before you get out of here, be sure to check out Underdog Fantasy. We're partnered with Underdog Fantasy. We have a great code for you. Use code FANSPEAK. You get 100% deposit bonus up to $100. So that means if you deposit 100, you get 100 free dollars to use to play in a ton of incredible best ball tournaments, including the Best Ball Mania, where you can win $2 million for the top prize. So I might as well get that free money to throw. Yeah, not bad. I know it was Steve and I have plenty of BBM3 entries, and we'll be actually doing hopefully a live stream next week on a best ball show, right, Steve?
Yeah,
that's the plan. Well, maybe not live, but we are going to be taping one of our drafts, and we'll see how that goes for better or worse. But before you get out of here, be sure to like this episode and subscribe to the FanSpeak Network and tell a friend. And, go make some fun futures bets. Take what Steve and I told you, do some research of your own and make some fun futures bets, and let us know what bets you made in the comments. Until next time, we'll see you then.